Okay, not sufficient to press the button. Okay, so let me just recap. So welcome to this SVT Dharma talk. And today we're going to be looking at the Suttanipata and the first verse, the first sutta there, 1.1, the snake skin. And to look at a poem inspired by that, written by my wife, Sarah, which I think is very instructive in the way it relates to the practice. So before we do that, let's just start with the Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Now, as we were talking just before the recording started, what we want to do is have an expansive frame of mind when we listen to this. And it's a little bit like the Chachaka Sutta, the 6 sets of 6, when you're on retreat, where you're simply letting that information flow into the mind. And the best way that we can set ourselves up to do this is to cultivate a meditative state of mind. And for those of you who've been on retreat with myself or practiced in other ways with myself, you'll know that I find it very helpful to set up the body to start with. So you may be sitting on a chair, you might be sitting on the floor. So the first thing to do is just ease out the sitting bones so you feel that there's a suitable base to sit on. And then gently rotate your inner thighs to release and relax your hips. So you feel that there's a sense of spaciousness at your center. Now bring your attention into your energetic center. Now it's below the navel, halfway in the body. And we simply need to set the intention that that is where the support is coming from. Now this is an energetic center. And if you allow your attention to be there initially and relax your body, you'll find that there's a sense of support present. Now, expand that center forward just enough to release your spine. Let the inner edge of your shoulder blades drop so you feel there's space around your heart. And then gently smile. And smiling, if you close your eyes, will tune you into where you're holding tension in your body. Simply soften around any places. Now, it might be around your physical brain, might be in your jaw, might be in the shoulders. Drop the inner edge of the shoulder blades to let your heart open up. It might be around the pelvis or the hips. Rotate the inner thighs. It might be in the solar plexus at the base of the rib cage. Soften here. And initially just connect to your breath. And as you find yourself breathing in, gently relax, let your mind open up. And as you breathe out, and allow the mind to expand. So be aware of your peripheral vision with your eyes shut. So just what's going on in the edges as well as what's in front of you. And if you're working with loving kindness, you can bring the sense of loving kindness up. Feel the sense of warmth or happiness, or it might be simply a smile. As you breathe in, relax. As you breathe out, relax. Or if you're working with the loving kindness, stay with the feeling of loving kindness. And if you notice your mind taken away, gently 6R and come back. Now, when we start to recite the poem, the sound of the poem becomes your object of attention. So 6R, when you get distracted away from that, and simply come back and keep your mind open, keep your body open. So I'm going to invite Sarah to join me.
So thank you to Hugh and all of you for coming to be with us today and to listen to the snake skin. Just as the snake, you too are here to be naked, to free yourself through shedding skin wrapped so tight about the cycles of existence and decayed for want of light and love for living. For you, there is an ancient balm to treat the vigor and the root of all that grows towards the dark and deep abandoned places. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel the fiery essence of your anger cool and shed with love the violent waves to float in calmer waters. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel possession and its feverish urge, and shed with love the stolen blooms to rest at peace with nature. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel the meetings missed in wilderness, and shed with love the stark control to bring you home to wholeness. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel the loneliness of pride and shame, and shed with love the elevation and descent to rest at ease in balance. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel certainties no longer fixed, and shed with love the enclosure of identity to walk freely in the garden. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel grudges as they wash away, and shed with love the toxic stains to tend each day with healing. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel projections lose their meaning, and shed with love the wasteful flow to renew your way with purpose. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel restlessness gravitate to calm, and shed with love the dissonance to hear the sweet harmony of peace. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel sluggishness offload its weight, and shed with love the density to know the lightness of your being. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel doubt lose its grip, and shed with love the houndings of your mind to grow with serenity. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel your unwholesome leanings and shed with love their full unfolding to trust in endings as beginnings. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel your deepest anxieties and shed with love the residues that repeat to welcome space and know it smiling. Be patient, still, that you might learn to feel your wanting to be this or that, and shed with love the needs that undermine the wakefulness of your sleep.
So gently stay with the way your mind and body feel. Invitation is to see how we release through shedding, through letting go, all that gets stuck and obstructive. When the snake sheds its skin, what's initially there is vulnerable, soft, new. It takes time to become familiar. So when we shed, we need to shed with kindness and love. Because we're inhabiting a new skin. We're letting go of the familiar. And we're moving into the new. So we let go of the fiery essence of our anger. And shed with love the violent waves to float in calmer waters. We let go of our possessiveness, our attachments, the things we hold on to, and the feverish urge that comes with that. To rest at peace with our nature and with nature in general. We invite ourselves to learn to feel the meetings missed in wilderness. Those things that happen when we don't seek to control, when we're open to possibility, when we explore with an open mind our practice and the way we inhabit our lives. When we do that, we bring ourselves home to a wholesomeness. And we also look to shed with love the loneliness of our pride and shame. Pride and shame separate us from what's actually going on. Shame we hide away, pride we're inflated. Neither of them are connecting us with what is present right now. When we come into the presence right now, we come into a sense of ease and balance. We look to shed with love the certainties we feel. When we're beset with certainty, we lose the sense of humility that keeps us open to learn, to explore, to investigate, to discover. We get caught with certainties into an identity. And when we allow that to drop, then we're able to walk freely in the garden. We learn to feel grudges. As they wash away. And notice how they hold us back. And as we release from these, and grudges require us to have a strong sense of identity. Grudges create tension and tightness in the mind and the body. And so the 6 R's are a wonderful way to begin to free us up from these patterns. And when we do that, it frees us up and opens us up to a path of healing. We look to feel the projections lose their meaning. The projections that we cultivate in our own mind based on our past experiences, our beliefs, the patterns of thinking and behaving that we have. When we begin to see these patterns, they begin to lose their meaning. And with that, we're able to remove something that takes so much of our energy, so wasteful of the resources that we have, and enables us to redirect and renew our way with purpose. When we release from restlessness, we move towards calmness, and we shed with love the disruption that restlessness gives, that dissonance. And what's behind that restlessness when we release from it is a sense of peacefulness. And when we release away from the sluggishness, that sloth and torpor that we feel, that reluctance to practice, the heaviness of the mind, the reluctance to apply ourselves, the reluctance to start the process of taking responsibility. That heaviness, that density, when we learn to release away from that, then we discover a lightness of our being. And when we learn to release from doubt, then those internal voices that constantly challenge us with the stories they tell us. They might be things about not being good enough, or not being able to support ourselves, or a lack of self-esteem, or not having time to practice, or anything else that we notice. That creates that sense of doubt in us, which interrupts what we know we need to do. When we shed with love these, we grow in that sort of expansive calmness, that serenity of knowing what we need to do. When we learn to feel our unwholesome leanings, then we can see how they start and how they finish. And when we see them begin, we can release away from them. So things which would normally have taken us to our aspect of our mind or action or speech, which is unwholesome for ourselves and others, each time we release from that, each time we allow that to end, it's a new beginning. When we shed our deepest anxieties, then we can begin to welcome a spaciousness. And that spaciousness in the practice, and Bhante Vimramsi would describe this spaciousness as a smiling in the body, smiling in the mind, the releasing of tension, the opening up of the body, the opening up of the mind, the opening of the heart. When we feel our wanting to be this or that, in other words, not to be what we are in this moment, but having a preference for something else. And Bhante used to say that whatever is occurring right now is the truth. It's the truth of this moment. And so to reject the truth of this moment is to say that there's something wrong with the truth. But there can't be anything wrong with the truth, he would say, because it's the truth. And so our task is to have a response to the truth, what is right now, rather than to want to be this or that. And so when we allow ourselves to be present with what is, then we become awake. This wakefulness is the aspect of the practice. So connecting with the idea of letting go of our skin. This act of relinquishing something that's so close to us. There's nothing closer than our skin. But to relinquish that in the understanding and the trust and the confidence that another skin will reveal itself. Is a simile that the Buddha used to, if you like, describe the nature of the practice and the progress through the practice. Just as the snake, you too are here to be naked, to free yourself through shedding skin that's wrapped so tight about the cycles of existence and decayed for want of light and love for living. For you, there is an ancient balm to treat the vigor and the root of all that grows towards the dark and deep abandoned places. So just come back into your practice. Bring to mind the sense of loving kindness. This process needs us to work with kindness and love towards ourselves. To relinquish what is no longer useful, as the snake relinquishes the old skin. Bring your attention to the contact with the ground. Take a deliberate breath in and out. Softly smile. Relax any holding and bracing around your brain. At your own time, softly and gently open your eyes. I'd invite you just to reflect on where the poem resonated and connected you to your practice. And we'd be very happy to just hear any thoughts you have or questions you might have about what was said and the way it couples releasing with love and the consequence of that in terms of the practice as well. So, would anyone like to start off? Did you find the poem helpful?
Might start. When I was hearing myself speaking, and then afterwards Hugh bringing different aspects out, one of the things that struck me again very clearly is the imagery of the snake skin is inviting us to see just how natural it is to be shedding. And I think we can get very caught up at times with the nature of when we're seeing things that are going on within us. There's quite a lot of content that we might start worrying about that there is to be shed. And so this wonderful reminder that the snake skin sheds and sheds as a natural process of maturation, and then the skin is too small. It has to be released. And so the same is true with us. The more we become aware, the more we see there are aspects that we're holding on to that are completely unnecessary. And then I think the other imagery that I find or what I actually Googled about snakes shedding their skin. And snakes feel very, very vulnerable when this natural process is happening. And that really resonated for me. And they often go into a quiet place and they hide away. And this is very resonant, when we're practicing and we're in an intimate connection with ourselves, we're going inwards. We're creating an environment that is we're looking after having a steady environment that's quiet, sustaining. It's our version, if you like, of going into a quiet place in order to allow a natural process of shedding to happen. So I think we can feel sustained by the natural imagery. It is a natural process to shed. And that can take us out of worrying about all of the various different aspects there are to be shed. Other than to recognize from the Buddha's teaching, we all have them. We're not uniquely flawed. So I also find that a very reassuring aspect, that these are parts of ourselves that we need to meet different times in different conditions so that we can find a different relationship with what's been going on and how we've behaved in the past. And that we can grow in kindness so that these aspects can simply fall away in loving relationship with ourselves. So this natural relationship becomes very, very important and very sustaining for us. We'll eat different things at different times, and they can be shared in their own time and in their own way.
Okay, thank you. So, KK, thank you very much. He sent a message saying that the poem resonated for me about and to be patient in the process. And that's really an aspect of the kindness and the love that we need to give ourselves. Impatience is such an unloving aspect of mind. And we want something to be over. We want to attain something else. We want to hold on to what the possibility is of the future rather than be with the process. And I think the thing most important about the Buddha's approach to meditation is that, if you like, the teaching is in the process. So let's not be in a hurry about the process. Let us actually experience the process, experience the relinquishing, experience the feeling of that, what is a positive vulnerability, and how that allows us then to grow into something else. Because it's very important in the practice that it cultivates the conditions for behavioral change. We're not just chasing after esoteric mind states, we're looking for a change in behavior. And this process of relinquishment is the way we open the door to this change in behavior. It's the things that we hold on to which hold us back. We can think of the practice as a practice of acquisition, of attaining things, attaining more, attaining more. But then, if you like, we're attaining more on top of something. Whereas actually what we have already is what we need to sort out. So in the sorting it out, in the relinquishing of what we have that is unwholesome, that is what then brings the wholesome present. So just like we set up the conditions for the sitting, for the practice, we set up the conditions for the meditation practice. We set up a clarity of intention. We are mindful about where our attention is. We have a process that we understand. This is the 6 R's. The 6 R's are an act of relinquishment. Every time something occurs in the mind or in the body that we take personally, the 6 R's are the process of letting that go and disappear. And as our mind begins to settle down, we see how much we hold on to and how much we need to let go. And so the progress through the Brahma-viharas, through the states of jhana, are through a process of what we let go of and release, rather than what we grab hold of and pull ourselves towards. So this relinquishment is a very helpful image to have in the mind. And the skin of the snake is a useful simile to look at or to hold in the mind as, if you like, an image of what we're doing. Would anyone else like to add in their particular thoughts? And remember, all thoughts and all comments are useful here. perhaps I can just invite Sindhu. How are you today? Maybe whilst you're connecting, Paul, how are things with you?
Hi. I'm actually very tired. So I wasn't excited at all. So I think I was probably going a bit too sleepy during your recitations.
So when we feel tired, we don't want to fight the tiredness. But we can use the tiredness as a meditation object and just explore and investigate what that tiredness feels like. So that tiredness might be fatigue, in which case it's something that we need to take care of. But the tiredness might also be part of sloth and torpor. And one of the things about sloth and torpor that counteracts that is being curious and being interested. So one of the things we can do when we're feeling tired is just investigate it. How does it feel in the mind? How does it feel in the body? Is there a closing down of the heart? Or is there an opening out? Is there a heaviness in the body, or is there a sense of lightness? Is there sort of fogginess in the mind or clarity? And not trying to change it, but just be curious about what's there and simply observe what's there. I remember many years ago, Ajahn Sumedho, in a talk on a retreat I was with him, and he described when he was a young monk with Ajahn Chah contracting malaria. And he complained to Ajahn Chah that he wasn't able to meditate. And Ajahn Chah said to him, but the malaria is the object of your meditation. Be present with the symptoms of that and work with that. Don't see that as an obstruction to what you might normally do. And so when we feel fatigued or when we feel tired, we can adopt exactly the same approach. So that may be helpful. I don't know, but that's something that comes to my mind when I feel there's a sluggishness or a dullness in my mind, whether it's from fatigue or from sloth and torpor.
Yes, Hugh, it is very good explanation regarding whenever I get time. It was very good. How is your health? And Sarah, how are you?
Oh, thank you for asking. I am much better now, and
Yes.
it's interesting hearing you talk about from the poem the emphasis on patience. I have met a very impatient identity over the last month. There's nothing like yeah, I mean, my back injury initially meant I couldn't even easily get out of bed, let alone walk. So I met a very impatient person, and it really brings close to home that you can be doing this practice, and then the conditions change like that. And goodness, the reserves of patience needed to be in every movement, because it's so very challenging. You realize you don't have very much. So it was a very challenging time for me. But it's not a long-term injury, so I've got through a very acute phase, and I'm I'm a lot restored. The other interesting thing about having a back injury is it's so connecting to emotional instability. So losing my support physically also connected with a lack of emotional stability. So it was very intense. I suppose it's akin to, in a meditation retreat, going on a very having a very intense time with what's coming up. This presented in a daily life environment and created conditions that were very exposing. But just like in this poem and the original sutta, the invitation to be aware of the process, be aware of the taking of it personally, and the looking to remain soft insofar as it was possible. And I don't think I did very much smiling. It was too difficult.
How are you?
Yeah.
How is you now? You recovered from the.
Yes. My conditions are just ongoing, and they are things that I work with and work around, and they present as they do, and I find that I can usually accommodate things. So a little while ago, I was due to have a minor operation, and then right at the last moment, it was decided that that probably was inappropriate, and so we're into another phase. But in between times, I find the practice really helpful, and life continues. This is okay.
Truly, life continues. Truly.
Yeah, indeed.
And I wish all of you to be happy and peaceful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. That's very much appreciated. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyone else have any questions or comments on that, or any questions about practice? You're very welcome to put those into the pot as well. Please let us know your name, because I only have a description of your computer, I think, on there. So the gentleman who's just come on video, please introduce yourself. We can't hear you. You're on mute. Just sending a quick.
సచిన్ గారు నమస్తేనండి. నేను రామ్ స్వరూప్. వాళ్ళు ఇంగ్లీష్ లో ఏదో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. సచిన్ గారు వింటున్నారా? హలో సచిన్.
వింటున్నాను సార్.
నేను రామ్ స్వరూప్ నండి. జాయిన్ అయ్యాను. వాళ్ళు ఇంగ్లీష్ లో ఏదో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు. నాకు అర్థం కాదు కదా. ఆయనది కొంచెం అర్థం అవుతుంది, అర్థం కాలేదు. వాళ్ళు ఏదో నన్ను ఇప్పుడు నేను ఓపెన్ చేస్తే నా వీడియో ఏదో అడుగుతున్నట్టుంది నన్ను. ఇది వరకు ఏదో మీట్ అవ్వలేదు అని అడుగుతున్నారు. మీరు
నేను కన్వే చేస్తాను. మీరు మాట్లాడచ్చు, నేను ట్రాన్స్లేట్ చేస్తాను. హ్యూగ్ సార్, యాక్చువల్లీ the person who is talking is Ramaswarup sir. He is also a meditator, and he has been practicing Vipassana meditation, and he has done many courses under Goenka tradition. And from childhood, he is in this path of spiritual journey. And he's very interested in getting swim teachings. Recently, he has contacted me. And I have shared the Bante Dhammagavesi contact details also. And he is interested in coming to Mahabodhi Bangalore retreat, which is scheduled.
Very good. So Yes, Bhanti Dhammakavesi and myself will be running the Mahabodhi retreat in January. So it'd be very, very good to see you there. So thank you for joining today.
Thank you.
And sir is presently residing in small monastery.
Navyana
Small
monastery
monastery.
in Andhra Pradesh. Navyana
Navyana monastery.
Chekkapalli.
రామస్వరూప్ సార్ యాక్చువల్లీ సార్ వాళ్ళు ఏంటంటే మన హ్యూగ్ సార్ ట్విమ్ టీచర్ ఫ్రమ్ యూకే నుంచి ట్విమ్ టీచర్ అన్నమాట. మనకు
ఇప్పుడు అక్కడ నుంచి
ఇండియాలో టీచింగ్ యూకే నుంచి మాట్లాడుతున్నారు.
ఓకే.
అయితే మనకు ట్విమ్ ఇండియాలో ఏదైతే ట్విమ్ రిట్రీట్స్ అవుతాయో కొన్ని రిట్రీట్స్ కి లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ కూడా మొత్తం వచ్చి టీచ్ చేశారనమాట. బంటే దమ్మగవేసితో పాటు హ్యూగ్ పోల్టన్ కూడా వచ్చి మనకు నేర్పించారు. హ్యూగ్ పోల్టన్ ది ఏంటంటే స్పెసిఫికల్లీ సుఖిత యోగా అని ఒకటి అతనే ప్రయోగం చేశారు అనమాట బాడీకి బేసికల్లీ. అంటే అతను ప్రయోగం ఎలా చేశారంటే బాడీలో ఉన్న రిలాక్స్ స్టెప్ కూడా మైండ్ కి ఎఫెక్ట్ అవుతుంది. ఆ విధంగా మనకు ఫిజికల్ గా కూడా ఎక్సర్సైజ్ చేస్తాడు అనమాట రిట్రీట్ లో. ఒక 40-45 మినిట్స్ అట్లా మనకు స్లోగా పాసిబుల్ అయిన మూవ్మెంట్ తో మైండ్ ని కూడా ఎలా రిలాక్స్ చేయాలి, బాడీతో పాటు మనం ఏ యాక్టివిటీ చేసినా కానీ ఇలా ఉంటే మనకు మైండ్ లో రిలాక్స్ ఉంటది అనే విధంగా మనకు నేర్పిస్తారనమాట. అతను ఆన్లైన్ లో క్లాసెస్ కూడా తీసుకుంటారు. అతను టీచింగ్స్ యూట్యూబ్ లో కూడా ఉన్నాయి. చాలా మందికి ట్రైన్ చేశారు ఇలాగా సుఖిత యోగా అని. సుఖిత యోగాతో పాటు మెడిటేషన్ కూడా అతను టీచ్ చేస్తాడు.
సుఖిత యోగా
చాలా మంచి ప్లస్ ఇద్దరు హ్యూగ్ పోల్టన్ ప్లస్ సారా ఇద్దరు కూడా సేమ్ లైన్ లో ఉన్నారు అనమాట. టీచింగ్ ప్లస్ సుఖిత యోగా రెండు కూడా టీచ్ చేస్తారు. చాలా మంచి ఇది ఇందులో ఉన్నమాట. వేరే పని వాళ్ళకి ఎక్కువ ఇది లేదు, ఓన్లీ దీనిపైనే ఎక్కువ ఇది ఫోకస్ అన్నమాట వాళ్ళకి. చాలా మంచి ఇది రిట్రీట్స్ లో దమ్మ టాక్స్ కూడా తీసుకుంటారు, ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తారు.
ఓకే, ముందు జాయిన్ అవుతుంటే విషయం తెలుస్తుంది. చాలా సంతోషం అండి.
Hey, well, thank you.
Actually, I was explaining about Sukhita Yoga to him so that he is getting awareness about these things.
And thank you. And Nanda, anything you'd like to add about the session today?
I thought it's a great Hugh. Just want to affirm when you were reading the poem and the sutta, it occurred to me the practice of 6R just works. Shredding the unwholesome and reprogramming the mind with wholesome, and the result is profound transformation. That is great. I thought the simile of the snake skin is great. It kind of reminds me every time I think about it that I got to release my unwholesome side. That's great, and then the poem is very soothing to listen to. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments. The 6Rs, you're right, are a wonderful addition to daily life, to help us constantly come back into balance. And the thing I most appreciate about the 6Rs is they're such a kind process. There's an inbuilt lovingness within the practice. And we need that because as we shed something, there is a sense of vulnerability. And we need to be happy to turn towards that vulnerability as part of the process, rather than kind of hide away from that vulnerability. And so the 6 R's is a very supportive way of, if you like, making that vulnerability wholesome and positive. And we can use it as a sign that we are releasing. Because when we do release something, we move into somewhere new. And that is, you know, we've moved away from taking something personally into and the unwholesomeness that creates. And unwholesome in that sense doesn't necessarily mean bad. What Bhante Vimalaramsi would describe as an unwholesome is anything that we take personally. And so when we 6R and release away from taking something personally, we expose ourselves to see things as they actually are. And sometimes that's uncomfortable, sometimes that's comfortable, but often it's a new feeling. And there's something unfamiliar about the new, which we have to be happy to experience. So we're constantly then evolving with the 6 R's. We're not using the 6 R's to control a situation. We're looking for the 6 R's to open us up to a new situation. And that's an important distinction. If we're not careful, we can use something that looks like the 6 R's, a bit like a mantra, to hold something down. But no, what we're looking to use the 6 R's for is to open something up. And that's the important thing. And it's that opening up, which is the shedding of the skin. So thank you very much for your comments. Anything else? KK, would you like to add?
I really appreciate Nanda Madam, actually. Nanda Perara Madam.
Please do.
Madam being is a, even though Madam, like at this juncture, like at this age, Madam still continues to practice to the best of her time. It is inspirational to us. And she attends the online retreat, and we see her form very clearly how she practices. Thank you, Nanda Madam.
Please just explain for the benefit of others, who is it you're talking about here?
Nanda Madam is very sincere in the online retreat. She submits the online forms on time, mostly on time, and she expresses exactly how she is experiencing in her meditation. And she's so pleasing and so thankful for gratitude for sharing the Dhamma to the teachers. And we have experienced, since she has attended many retreats, we have seen her. And Madam is also inspirational for us, for young generation. Like being old is being old also, Madam would like to learn and implement these Dhamma teachings in her life. Thank you, Nanda Madam.
Yeah. Thank you, Nanda. And I think this is an important lesson for all of us, that there is no restriction to when we should start practicing, and there's no limitation to how long we should continue. Each time we work with this and work with the 6 R's, we're reframing our experience and learning or training our mind to adopt a new perspective. Sister Kima, who died sadly last year, she would be very clear about the value of the 6 R's. She would say, well, when we recognize the mind has moved away from the object of meditation, in other words, we've taken something personally, and we've released away from that, and we've relaxed the tension around our brain, then this is a purification of the mind. So we've dropped the taking things personally, the unwholesome, and the relaxing of the tension is to release the craving. But then she would say the second half of the 6 R's, the re-smiling, the returning to the feeling of loving kindness, and the willingness to repeat this time and time again. This moves from a purification of the mind to a retraining of the mind. And these two components are very important. So each time we complete the 6 R's, we purify and retrain. And so the more and more often we do this and see the need for it, not as an act of conscious repetition, but seeing the circumstances arising for it and releasing and relaxing, re-smiling and coming back, we go through this process of purification and retraining. And this is probably the greatest act of kindness that we can do for ourselves. So it's an act of love. So as Nanda, you said, the 6 R's, they're enormously effective. And they are really a blessing to have in our lives. Good. And Kate, anything else you'd like to add?
Truly, Hugh.
No?
Hi, Hugh, Sarah, and all. It's me, Kirana.
Hello.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'm from Indonesia, but still in Taiwan. And you know, I decided to back to university again, so I took master degree right now, and I am in the situation, how to say, like impatient, I guess. So when I listening Sarah's voice about the poem, it really give me some courage to be patient, I guess. And Sarah's voice really shooting. It's nice. I'm glad I joined today.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much, Joanna, and thank you for your comments.
Yeah,
Nice
keep
to
going.
Yes, nice to hear you. Good. Okay. So, anyone else like to add anything before we close the session? All right. So let's close with the closing prayer. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired with the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Hugh and Sarah. Thank you all.
Yeah,
I'm
bye-bye.
wishing all happiness and peace.
Thank you. Sadhu,
Bye.
sadhu.
Thank you.